Good morning to all of you. This lecture is for the human rights students. Our topic for today is impunity. Impunity. So please remember what is meant by immunity. Impunity means freedom from punishment or freedom from the injurious consequence of action. So even though you do something wrong, nobody can arrest you. This is impunity. Very recently in Nagaland, certain laborers who were returning from the hard day's work, they were mistaken as the so-called illegal entrants from Myanmar, and they were shredded by the special forces. Of course, Armed Forces Special Protection Act is there. So that act is called as an act of impunity. Likewise, section 45 CRPC, it says that you cannot arrest a person. It is giving a privilege to the persons of armed forces. You cannot arrest a person even though he committed offense while he was in the discharge of duty. Even though you arrest, you have to inform the concerned officer commanding. So, to be precise, I want to say that they have got the power to act with impunity. Otherwise, what happens? They cannot perform their duties fearlessly. So that's why certain people have to be exempted from punishment, or certain people have to be exempted from being arrested for doing such acts. But please remember, in the international law of the human rights, it refers to impunity means failure to bring the perpetrators of the human rights violator to justice. For example, it is called as act of impunity. UP is a state where the police kill the civilians with impunity in the encounter. That means they do not have fear of the punishment, and they will not be punished. So please remember, impunity, where it is common in the countries where judiciary is weak, or where members of the security forces are protected by special jurisdictions or immunity. Just APSFA, Armed Forces Special Protection Act, or section 45 CRPC. So here you cannot take action directly on the armed forces, even though here in Nagaland they kill the persons. So this is the problem, impunity. Please remember, UN Council of Human Rights 2005 defines impunity as the impossibility of bringing the HR violators to court, as they are not subject to any inquiry. Examples: coup d'état. So dethroning a person in Pakistan or in Iran, it happens. Suddenly the military will take over the charge. That is what is called coup d'état. So second is civil war. During the time of civil war also, the forces, they will act with impunity. They will kill any person they like. Military dictatorship. So this is another bad example. Of course, Nazi or that Hitler time has gone. Very recently, Iraq, Saddam Hussein. So this is nothing but dictatorship. So if they are there, the military will act with impunity and nobody is there to punish him. And please remember, India is one of the worst 40 nations for not punishing the killers of the journalist. Kalburgi case, you may be knowing. Or so many journalists, they have been killed for bringing out the truth or for vociferously voicing against the party in power like that. Right? Please remember, very recently, Ashwini Kumar, you may be knowing, he is a BJP man, but he is an advocate. He files a number of public interest litigations. Ashwini Kumar, in IA number 20/2020, argued that the attack on judiciary is continuously increasing with impunity. Here, the judiciary is also being affected with the so-called impunity. So please remember, the culture of impunity should be condemned. So non-imposition of penalty in deserving cases by commission, definitely it is dangerous. A person who commits an offense, definitely, of course, should be punished. There may be extraneous circumstances. In such cases, yes, the armed forces, they have to act with impunity. And the police, the armed forces should definitely be protected because they do not have the direct connection with the public, and if the public rebel, definitely when army will be called when there is a disturbance of the public order or when there is a war. In such cases, they cannot think of the consequences. They have to act fearlessly, fiercely, but at the same time, they have to respect the human rights. We are discussing the topic of human rights. Therefore, everybody should respect the human rights. So, UN Commission on Human Rights also clearly stated that so impunity may be extended only in extraneous circumstances. So there should be a leverage, there should be an exception. Otherwise, you cannot go on doing such violations of human rights with impunity. Please don't compare it with Article 361. Article 361 says that the President of India or Governor of State cannot be penalized, cannot be punished, or cannot be asked to come to the court. That is a privilege. That is a privilege. Even though I have told you the example of that Saudi Saudi ambassador in India. His relatives went to a shopping mall. Some theft has taken place. They were detained, and of course, due to the intervention of our diplomatic officials, they were released. Here, the point is, the diplomatic ambassadors, then governors, then President of India, they got a privilege. Not only they, their family members also do have the so-called privilege. But this is impunity. Impunity means doing an act for which you are not able to punish him. So if they are having that impression, if they do the acts willfully, with impunity, then it is definitely dangerous to the human rights. So that's why there was a lot of resentment even among the journalists and other people also, that people who are responsible for the killings should be punished. So let us hope that this impunity will be extended only to important occasions and not for all. Right? Thank you very much.